Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is stock market wrap up for Tuesday, April 7th, 2015. We're going to take a look at the market here real quick. Today's action, look at the indicators. We're going to look at some of our key market ETFs like TLT and the dollar and USL. Stocks tonight: Apache, Yahoo, Delta Airlines, and United Continental Airlines. All right, we're going to start off here with the Dow. The Dow was down 5.4, and it was up most of the day, and this sold off in the afternoon. So, again, it looks like here on the Dow Industrials, like it's pulling up to this trend line. That's the bottom of this wedge. So this isn't changing a whole lot, this scenario. It was interesting early in the day. I remember looking at this when this was up like 80 points or whatever, and I looked at the advanced declines, and there was actually more declines than there were advances. So I had a feeling that this move was extremely weak, and then it collapsed in the afternoon. Now, an interesting thing that I've been looking at off and on over the last few weeks and month or so is the Dow Transportation Average. And if you'll look at this, this is not confirming the Dow action on the wedge. I mean, look, let's just go right back to what we were looking at. Look at this angle, okay? Here's the Dow pushing a higher high here, and pushing up in this wedge. Well, the transportation average is not confirming that action, okay? So we've got this declining tops. And then this move that occurred here in late March into early April actually broke below the lows here that occurred in December and January. Okay, so that would be, if the Dow were to do that, we would be talking about a Dow down below 17,100, actually down, probably in the 16,000 range, breaking below these lows of December and late January, early February. So I think it's really interesting that the transports are acting very, very weak here. If they don't turn around, I think this is a negative for the market. And combined with, the way the Dow is acting, we're just going to have to see how April plays out here. I'm a little bit cautious on April, so we'll see what happens. The S&P 500, not quite as clear of staying below the trend line like the Dow is, but again, it hasn't really broken out of this mix I talked about in here. And the NASDAQ here, similar type action actually, not a whole lot of change. So the NASDAQ down 7 for the day. And let's see, let me pull up the New York Composite because it's got, well, actually I'll come back to that, because I want to take a look at the McClellan oscillator. I'm just curious as to where it's at. Short-term trading index, the 10-day is at 1.03. So we're still in the middle, not at an extreme on that reading. The VIX, this is just clustering right in here. Okay, it's not doing a whole lot of anything. It's not giving us a solid signal, and it kind of, again, it's just mirroring what the market's doing. The market's just clustering, and a lot of congestion going on right now. High, low, same thing. 101 more new highs than new lows on the New York Stock Exchange. Someone asked me about that, and so I decided to put this up here. This is the New York Stock Exchange 52-week new highs, new lows. There is a separate reading for the NASDAQ, but I just like to focus on New York at this point. Okay, let me pull up I want to look at the McClellan oscillator. So I am going to pull up the New York Stock Exchange and go to that indicator. Make sure that it has adjusted. Yes, it has. Okay, so it's pulled up a little bit on the move yesterday. Then we pulled back today. But again, we're not even close to overbought. I mean, we've come up off the neutral, the zero line, but we're not quite as high as we were back here in early February and late December. But so it's tough to get any kind of reading off of that at this point. All right, let's take a look at the Treasury bond, TLT, long-term bonds. So the bonds rallied a little bit today, so interest rates went down. But again, hard to say what's going on when you're getting this kind of little congestion. You could almost, let me blow it up a little bit, easier to look at, but you could almost look at it and say, well, we got a little bit of a triangle going on here, and a little bit of a pennant action. And of course that assumes that, if this is continuing to thrust to the high side, and so that is still to be determined until this breaks out of this little wedge type activity. And the next one is the dollar. And where is the dollar? There it is, US dollar. And the dollar is doing a little bit of the same thing. I mean, clearly downtrend, rallied back, came back down. Thought it actually might take out this low and continue down a little bit further, but it's kind of pulled back above the 10 here. So right in the middle of all of this, similar to all the rest of those things, the other indices we just looked at. All right, and the USL, which is the one I like to look at because I think it mirrors the actual price action of the crude oil a lot better. So it's pulled back above this resistance area here. This became resistance, was resistance here, drove it down. Now it punched through it a little bit. We'll see if we're getting a move. Oil could be catching a bid here. We will see. And when last one we'll take a look at it is gold. Gold was down today. So GLD is what we're looking at. And again, I'm thinking this is a little bit of a counter trend move, and we could have an A, B, C type of action in here. Let me look at the indicators. Yeah, that's not a true divergence, and I'd rather see it in overbought or oversold too. So about 65, and we're at 66, so it's pretty close, but it's not truly showing divergence actually. And there's no showing divergence there, and it's not showing divergence there. So not getting divergence on this move. We could get a continuation on that. All right, let's take a look at Apache. We're going to look at Apache, Yahoo, Delta, and United Continental. Apache, kind of with the move of oil, a little bit of a snapback rally here, but it's got some overhead action it's going to have to get through with all this consolidation, and then this that became what was support became resistance. It's going to have to get through that. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, if it breaks through the high here, 69, it gets back above 69. It will be interesting to see if it runs and tries to close this gap, but it's got a lot of work to do before it does that. You could also look at this and say, well, it is trying to break some trend lines, break out a little bit. You could draw a trend line here, and you could say it's trying to put in a bottom. Now that's a weak head and shoulders. I mean, if you wanted to make the case that this was a shoulder, head, and a shoulder, kind of a weak with the declining neckline like that. So we'll see. Again, I'd put more focus on the resistance that it's got to get through. Okay, Apache. Now we're going to look at, let's take a look at Yahoo. I tell you, Yahoo, I think we've had 5 waves up in Yahoo, and I think I think this is still correcting. This reminds me a lot of SanDisk. Okay, this reminds me because SanDisk was doing this type of pattern, this choppy overlapping sideways like this. That's corrective action. Okay, that's not impulsive moves to the high side. Here's impulsive. Here's kind of impulsive. This is chopping. And this to me, now I know I've tried to trade this and it didn't go anywhere, didn't break down, but I got a feeling sooner or later I think this is going to break down. That's my take on Yahoo. And Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines is breaking down. Now it may get some support in here at the 233-day moving average. That could be interesting. I do think we've had 5 waves up in this too. It's had a big move. Had a big move. It is correcting, could correct all the way down here down in this area. But again, I talked about this once before, how it was going to lower lows and lower highs, and it's continued that action, that price action with this move. And let's see, on this move, we're not getting any divergence, but sometimes when that RSI looks like that, you get a little bounce. That doesn't look like bouncy type move. It looks like a fish hook, and you're not getting any divergence there. So, my best bet on Delta is that it's in this downward trend line and downward trend, and it looks like it's just going to continue that. Sure, it may bounce. I mean, it bounced right in here, right, for 2 days, and then it rolled right back over. So we'll see, but let's see. The last one we're going to take a look at tonight is United Continental. And the United Continental, this is kind of messy, but this looks like a large head and shoulders top to me. Okay. And again, the neckline is rising a little bit. I'd prefer to see it flatter, more horizontal. But it does look like it's breaking down out of this. I mean, I thought about trying to put a neckline in here. It just didn't look like the symmetry in this is really interesting. And I'm always fascinated by that. I mean, you clearly have this shoulder here. Okay, well then as you work your way in, it's almost like you have a little mini shoulder, head, and shoulder in here. And the same thing here, shoulder, head, and shoulder. Okay, kind of a mini little setup that mirrors over here, and then you get this head in here. So it's kind of interesting that there is some neat symmetry going on here. And if this goes to where the measurement for this move would be, that's going to be down here closer to this 233-day moving average on United Continental. So that'd be down around 54, 55. You might actually get support right in there from this here and tie right into the 233-day moving average. So that's my best take on United Continental right now. It's not something I want to dive in on. Maybe if it pulls back and it sets up, like pulls back, trades above the 10 or something, but I'll have to wait and see if it sets up. All right, that's it for tonight. Those are the 4. We'll be back again tomorrow night. So if you're watching this anywhere else but my website, head on over there and check out my posts. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. It's very easy to do. First name and email gives you access to the Trade Ideas webpage and the 5 Essentials PDF that I've got for you. So until next time, stay focused, follow your plan, trade without fear. Have a great Wednesday. Oh, by the way, the minutes on the FOMC, I think, are released tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's the one thing I remember was on my radar screen. All right, talk to you tomorrow night.